Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Jonathan. This is On the Spot. This is episode 2. We have Besmir back. Welcome.
And nice to be here. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have you back. It's great to be able to talk again. And it was a lot of fun the first episode. We got a chance to get to know Besmir. He's our sporting director. Really just a lot of his mindset, philosophy. And again, we want to dive deeper today into that philosophy. Besmir, thank you for being on here. We want to talk a little more about the methodologies behind North Jersey FC. Really, NJFC is just a very special club and a lot of developments going on. So we just want to hear from you more of that philosophy, really, behind the club.
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, very happy to be on. I had a lot of people make fun of me because I said I'm happy to be on like 3 times last time. So I'm not going to say it now. I'll say it 4 times. Happy to be here, happy to be here, happy to be here. So, what do you want to know? Open book, just like the club. We're all just about player development, player experience. So go ahead, ask away, Big John.
And I know that's so the one big thing, and I know these are fireside. Again, this is for the people who are new, didn't see the first episode. It's really a fireside chat. It's an opportunity to just go uncut. Really, it's just off the cuff. A lot of impromptu stuff, but we're able to talk really about that. And I realize we have a clip on Instagram that's very, very popular. We got a lot of engagement off of it. We can kick it off there, really, in terms of developing the right players, but not just the players on the field, but off the field. Really the mindset and the philosophy of how we can help the young men and the young girls really just develop into proper professionals in their careers, etc., because it translates, right? It all translates. It's good players on the field, but then it's great people off the field. So you could talk a little more about that, please.
Yeah, so on the field, it's about a holistic approach to creating confident, comfortable players who are given freedom and independence to solve problems and make decisions freely through the course of a match. When it comes to everything off the field and stuff that translates to the field, it's all about character development, making them better people. Yeah. And in character development, it's all the little things, right? It's the level of professionalism in training, before training, after training, when we're at tournaments and we're in between games, and the way we interact with the referees, the other team, the person that's in front of us, taking forever at the snack stand at a tournament, and we want to grab our hot pretzel and Gatorade so we can go run back and join the team. Not being disrespectful and all that, just the character development aspect of it, dealing with a teammate who might not be the most tactical, that it might not just be a good player or the best player on the team, but learning to build patience and, respect everyone giving their best effort and working their hardest, even though sometimes my hardest best effort might not produce the same level of quality on the pitch as yours and vice versa. That patience, all just character traits that are going to translate off the pitch and really help them just become better human beings, right? We're allowed to use the sport as a vehicle of change in creating a better future. And for us, that is, that's crucial for us. Having good people, they become coachable players. And for us, one of our pathways is to help kids go play in college. Coaches, as a college coach myself, we look for good kids. We want to bring good kids who, even if they're rough around the edges, might have a weakness or two, they're coachable and there's potential and they want to work hard. The coachability factor is one of the first things and biggest things we look for in college athletes. So that's one of our biggest goals, is showing players the importance of being coachable and them working hard to develop their character, and then helping them do it, and then them realizing, how far they've come from when they first started with us. Describe the journey, start the journey, work hard on the journey, and then celebrate the journey. That's kind of how we look to go about it.
I like that. That's powerful stuff. I think that's really one of the questions that I had for you, is because just putting myself or any of us really putting ourselves in your shoes, right? The coach or the person who's spearheading the program, is what does it actually take? And you were talking a lot about that. What does it take? And this is and I know we're going to do a lot of coaching education content as well. But what does it take, talking specifically about NJFC, now that everything's expanding, there's going to be more coaches getting on staff. What does it take for a coach, especially a coach just starting out, to develop quality players, just like you were saying, for them, the mindset really stepping into that, developing quality players for the future?
So we look to typically bring coaches aboard who have some kind of relationship to our network of coaches and players and former players. And sometimes we have to bring somebody new from the outside. But for us, the first thing, we can teach a coach how to run a training session, how to develop technical ability, and how to talk tactics with their team. Having good people, work with our future is an important thing to remember, because it's like the teachers they have in school. You hope their teachers in school are just good people. Anyone can teach them about World War II, right? But it's so much more that a good teacher brings. We went to high school together, and, we can talk about some of the greatest teachers we had in high school. We can talk about, Mr. Menadier, who we played varsity soccer for, and he was a good person. He was tough as nails, worked us to the bone.
Patient.
Yeah, he was, with some of our teammates, super patient. But
I remember.
We were willing to work as hard as we needed to, because we knew he cared, and we know now, looking back at it, that most of it was very well deserved. A lot of the running was very well deserved, but he was the kind of person who he'd work us to the bone and get all on us in training, but we'd still run through a wall for him on game day. He was somebody who we appreciated the fact that he was tough, because he knew that's what we needed to succeed. And we knew when we were having a bad day or things weren't going our way, he was there to stop in and say, hey, everything's going to be okay. Good teachers often translate to good coaches. I mean, at the club, one of our former assistants, and, now he's an assistant high school coach, high school math teacher, and he was former captain at FDU, and, Kenny Campen, Coach Kenny, he's just a good person. He's a great person. He's a great high school teacher, great high school coach, because of how well he relates to the kids, and he knows when to be stern and when to, just be there for them and have a softer side to him. He follows in the footsteps of Reed, the other assistant at FDU and one of our coaches on staff at the club. Reed's a longtime also math teacher in high school who, he deals with everything from the kids in the AP honors classes to the kids in the elementary level math classes, And he's a great teacher. I've never seen him teach, but I know he's a great teacher because I see the way he interacts with the kids and with the parents. And when you see somebody who gives their all for their work, who doesn't know how to do anything without putting full passion in, those are the kind of people that are going to do what it takes to help our players. So it's super, super important that we have educators first. We have empathetic educators, people who care, and the rest is super easy to teach them. I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, how hard a kid's going to work, it depends on how hard they want to work for themselves, how hard they want to work for the people around them, and how much they want to work for the leader, who's the coach. And a good leader has all the qualities we just spoke about. So a coach that comes to NJFC or is with NJFC and wants to move up the ranks, through our training company and then with the club and whatnot, and lead teams, it's no easy task because we ask a lot. But at the same time, is it really a lot? Being a good person, being somebody who cares.
That's huge, yeah.
Is it a lot of work, or is it something that should come with the job? For us, it's one and the same. Yeah,
I see that. Wow. So I think, and we've seen, well, at least I've seen your coaching style, Bez, and I think that's one of the greatest things too. I really wanted to touch on that too, because just specifically, and we see what it takes, mindset wise, being able to be a person who cares, because we're talking about youth here. So the youth, you need a lot of patience, like we're talking about Menadir, but we also need it's a different philosophy, different mindset. So one of the greatest things I really wanted to ask you here is kind of draw a picture and then see what your reaction would be. Let's say your team, one of the teams is down 2-0 halftime. What kind of halftime team talk would you have? Because I've seen both sides of the spectrum, but I'm just very curious, and I'm sure there's more than one person that's curious as well to know your reaction, to see how you would react as just really the leader of the team, now that you're speaking about leadership.
What's the age group of the team? I need specifics here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So let's say it's the 07s. That's a great team.
All right, the 2007 boys. Yeah, they are. They're wonderful. Are we home, away?
Home.
League tournament.
It's
knockout game.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. That's actually that's great. See, he's keeping me on my toes. But yeah, let's say it's wow. Would they be in the State Cup?
Yeah, sure. State Cup.
Let's say it's a State Cup semifinal.
Okay.
That's a big deal. State Cup semifinal at home. I don't know if they would be like in a 2 legs or just be single.
No, just single elimination. Yep.
Okay, so then
we're down 2-0.
Down 2-0. It could be a home game, right?
Yeah,
semifinal.
Home game. Yep, home game.
Home game, semifinal, State Cup, 2007 boys. It's halftime, 2-0.
Why are we down 2-0? Did we make mistakes? Is the other team better than us? Are we the better team? Is it 50-50? We haven't put chances away, right? It's all circumstantial.
Hey, these are all great questions. Wow.
A lazy coach, someone who doesn't really care, would go through a couple index cards they have. All right, what kind of team talk am I going through today? Everything depends on the scenario.
Wow.
Is it raining? Is it a morning game? Is it a night game?
Oh,
it's crazy to think about.
Okay, small thing. This is
but if it's raining, it's hey
down
guys.
To the details, huh?
If it's raining out, hey guys, it's gloomy, slow start. It's a morning match, maybe. Morning match. Maybe we. We're playing against good opposition. They're that top seed in the tournament. We're not. Slow start. We'll get back at it. Just depends. So. I apologize. I'm asking for every detail.
No, but this is
picture.
very good for everybody who watching. Realize that I feel like I should be taking notes right now. You know what I'm saying? Because this is something that it's very, and really the purpose of the question is not just, hey, most people would probably say like, oh, let's just change to a 4-4-2 or something. Let's change the formation. That'd probably be like a quick fix for, like you said, a lazy coach. But what we want to know is really the mindset. Like I said, it could be a 9 a.m. kickoff. It's halftime. It could be a very cold morning. Let's just say I'm trying to paint the picture as best I can, because it's true. What Besmir is saying is it's all in the details. That's something that I learned from Besmir for sure. Since I first came around the club, everything's in the details, and it's also in the reactions. Which a quote from
Mourinho is
right?
great. So when it comes to halftime talks, a halftime talk isn't ever something that gets decided as the whistle gets blown and the players are making their way in. My reaction to the whistle being blown, hey, clapping to have everyone come in, stepping out onto the field, give everyone the little high fives as they're walking in. Are we running in? Are we walking in? Am I going to a specific player or group of players? All of that is all tactical. You have to choose what you're doing. You can't just, as a coach, you can't really live in the moment in that regard. Because in the big matches, the important matches, those little things can make the difference. Wow. So it's just constant analysis of what's happening, what's happened, what might be happening in the near future. So it's funny, there is no set, halftime talk, I mean, there are games where we'll be down 2-0 and I'll go over, hey guys, not a big deal. We're the better team here. A couple slip-ups. Maybe they grabbed the goal. We got lazy in a couple moments. Let's relax. Take the pressure off. Yeah, we're down 2 goals, but they're going to come. They're going to come. Let's settle in. Let's get the ball moving. Let's go back to the basics. Anytime we're losing, the first thing I will say to our team, to my team, is let's just bring it back to the basics. Are we low on confidence? Yeah, we're down 2-0. Of course we're low on confidence. Let's settle down, back to the basics. Just connect some passes. Start connecting passes. get the ball down the wing, maybe whip a couple crosses in, get back down to the basics. If we're struggling to play out of the back because we're on a grass pitch, it's really wet out, or it's snowing, or it's cold, and we're struggling to play out of the back, we're also not professionals at the club level, where we are. We don't have the best players in the world. To me, they're the best players in the world because they're mine, but they aren't, but they just aren't, So it might be, hey, guys, for the first couple minutes, if they're going to start pressing us hard, don't force it. Don't try to pile on pressure and deal with it like we're, Brighton, I'm not De Zerbi. So, don't pile on unnecessary pressure. If we need to go long and we have to play ugly for a little bit, it's fine. One of the greatest things about, Chelsea, I'm going to spread a little more propaganda, but Fabregas said the difference between when he was at Arsenal and when he was at Chelsea was, at Chelsea they understood that sometimes they had to play ugly to win matches. But it was okay because that's what winners do. You do what it takes to win. And sometimes that's playing ugly. Sometimes that's hitting clearances and parking the bus and not playing attractive soccer. But in some moments, we have to, quote unquote, play ugly to build that confidence, Now, the best thing is the quote you mentioned from Mourinho.
I kind of butchered it a little bit, but
no, well,
paraphrased it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to bring it back up, go ahead.
I think it's like, from what I remember, only positive reactions. Right?
That's exactly what
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So when we are, I'll give a great example. We're up 1-0 against a really good side. Just before halftime, we concede a goal, 1-1. We don't come into halftime. I don't like to come into halftime with, hey, what the bleep and bleep are you guys doing out there? You're at fault. You're at fault. I like that seriousness and that, the law and order type of dictator type approach sometimes, right? Putting people in their place. But as often as I can be positive and build them up, I will. Yeah. Because for me, it's about building their confidence and continuing to allow them to see how much I care and how what each individual action they do as individuals impact the greater picture. The more I can get them to buy in and, hey, we're all here together, we're all fighting together, the more impactful when I do get upset with them and they understand why I'm upset or why they've let their team down, that's also more effective, has more of an impact on them. Because when everything's all sunshine and rainbows, even a single drop of rain makes it look horrible. A sunny meadow with one raindrop is, oh shoot, it's raining. But if we're in a meadow of flowers, sunshine and rainbows, and I come in with thunder and lightning, it really gets them to understand what the severity of the issues are. But so for me, it's always positive. And that's one of the biggest coaching points I'll make pretty much every game is, hey, we mess up a pass. We miss a tackle. We miss a tap in. We go to head the ball forward. It hits off our head, goes backwards. We turn over possession, whatever it might be. Only positive reactions. One of the greatest things a player can do, the greatest thing is once they've lost the ball, is to do whatever it takes to help their team win it back and have defensive stability and just be positive in the way they react, right? You miss, as a college coach, if I watch a player miss a sitter and they sit down and they collapse to their knees and they're crying and game over, the ball's already on the other side of the field and they're still on the ground, hands on their head, giving up like life's over. Our team wins the ball back, looks to play a ball into our forward, and our forward's still on the 6 with his hands over his head. We've got an issue. Yeah. It's his reaction, which is understandable. He's upset. He just missed a sitter, or she missed a sitter. The reaction wasn't positive. The reaction didn't help the team. The reaction helped their emotions in that one moment, right? And the wonderful thing about soccer is we're all there doing what we can for the greater good, the big picture. So, only positive reactions is the best thing. And as a coach, I only ever think about how can we make things better. We're up 2-3-0. How can we go on the front foot and continue to apply pressure? Yeah. We just scored and we went up 2-1. We just scored and we're up 2-1 on a really good team. Sometimes in the big games we have to sit back, but how can we defend in a positive manner? How can we defend and not just have it be last-ditch tackles hoping for the best, but defend in a way that makes sense for us tactically and still keeps us dangerous? There's a big difference between sitting back and parking the bus and hoping for the best and getting back to defend your goal and change your style of play. Hey, we're changing tactics. We're going to sit deeper guys, low block, two banks of 4. We're going to put 2 forwards. You guys, one press the ball, one shut down the 6. And from there, we're going to go and, look to hit on the counter. We get the ball, forwards through. We'll try to find you guys into space, and then we'll get up the field. It's the only thing that matters is Mourinho's always right. Only positive reactions, because we can control our actions, but sometimes we make mistakes. And the biggest mistake you can make is after having made one mistake, you follow it up with a second mistake. That's where the only positive reaction steps in. If you've done one bad thing, you fix it immediately, and nobody remembers that mistake. You miss a sitter, you're a forward, you miss a sitter, but you score the next one. Hey, it's all good, you scored. You can look into the smaller issues with all that, but only positive reaction. It's one of the many great quotes from Mourinho.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember that's one of the first ones I remember hearing from you, and I've had the privilege to be able to be on the sideline with Besmir just these past few years, and there's certain things, and I wanted to just pick your brain again on some of your inspirations, because, for example, just halftime team talks, I brought that up because there's some clips, some legendary clips, like, for example, Zinedine Zidane. I watched the halftime. They actually recorded the halftime team talk in the Champions League final. I believe it's the Champions League final against. It might have been against Liverpool Real Madrid's been in many finals, so
always winning them. Annoyingly, always winning them.
Never lost a final, by the way. But yeah, my point is that halftime team talk. That's one of the things I just wanted to definitely speak on. Is Zidane is one of many great examples of inspirations for perhaps yourself. I mean, I know Zidane's coaching career is relatively new, but I'm talking about over the years, right? We're talking about
new. He's won
one of the most successful. Yeah, I was gonna say one of the most successful ever. But just Besmir, just picking your brain a little bit about your inspirations. Really, talking about a lot of the stuff that NJFC is really backed by in terms of philosophy, mindset. We want to just really ask you, what are some of yours? Obviously, we talk about Jose Mourinho a lot. That's one of the things I always hear from you. But just maybe some other examples. We mentioned Cholo Simeone previously. Some of these characters really over the years that just been just tremendous. We can learn a lot from them. So you could just tell us a little bit about that, your perspective.
So one of my favorite things, like I said, when it comes to halftime talks, it's almost like the approach to every game, and sometimes even every training session. It's. You look at different scenarios and you think, all right, how would when the big guys respond here? And I love Mourinho because you never know what you're going to get, right? Obviously, that's my big thing with Mourinho is my inspiration from him comes from the fact that it's always us versus the world. It doesn't matter who we play. If we're the favorite, they're still the enemy. If we're the underdog, they're still the enemy. If we're neck and neck, they're still the enemy. They all want us to fail. Now, when it comes from someone like Simeone, he's been at Atleti for a long time. Clearly, it's also produced some very high successes for them. They're competing for titles consistently in the top 4 year in, year out. The club makes brilliant amounts of revenue off players bought and sold, even though Alvaro Morata's played for them 18 times. They love finding forwards, discovering them, shipping them off, making a bunch of money, and then having them come back at a discount. It's great. But the passion that Diego Simeone has, Antonio Conte, the amount of charisma they bring on the sideline, or just the intensity. I think intensity is the right word. Yeah. That is, if I'm a player at Atleti and I am the reason my team concedes because I didn't make that sprint back to defend, I'm scared for my life, because I'm going to look over at the sideline and I know I can feel Diego Simeone's eyes on me, burning a hole through the back of my head. Knowing if I make eye contact, there's a good chance I won't see the morning. You know? And like that's one of those things where you can tell they don't fear him because they're afraid of him. They fear him because they respect him so much. They fear letting Simeone down. Because you can tell the only thing he really cares about is playing with heart and passion. That's how he coaches. His teams never give up. They work hard. You know, they're second to none in those departments. So having that level of buy-in from players, Simeone's a master. Yeah. You know, he's a master at, doesn't matter how young or how old, how talented you are. For him, it's simple. Control the controllables. Work as hard as you can for the team. Do everything you can for the team. Team comes first no matter what. You know, and if you're working at 100% and you think you're at your max, you push yourself harder because even if it's not possible to work harder than 100%, you're going to try. You know, Simeone in that regard is fantastic. And, you know, he stays true to defensive football, playing defensively in soccer. It's how many people in the world are willing to continue doing it. All the hype is around playing out of the back and possessing and the quick in transition moments and whatnot. But go watch a couple of the matches Real Madrid played against Atleti this year. Real Madrid 85-90% possession, Atleti more shots on target, more chances created. It's, you know, he stays true to what has made him successful. And just because the world tells him he needs to do one thing, he sits there and says, no, thank you. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You know, in the same regard, I mentioned Antonio Conte. He came to Chelsea, and the entire world, myself included, decided, hey, you know, maybe it's not a crazy idea to start playing with wingbacks. Besides Juventus and Italy, who else was playing with three center backs? Conte comes to Chelsea. They walk the league. They are the best team there. Is it a surprise that suddenly Marcos Alonso's playing at Barcelona? Antonio Conte made the wingbacks one of the most important players in the modern game. You know, having added stability with a third center back and you really using full width and the athleticism of the modern day player, it's changed the game for the better. You know, and they say football is cyclical. You know, so, you know, we're slowly starting to see some teams go back to a 4-4-2 and edge away from the three at the back. And, you know, I'd say in my lifetime, this is probably the most mixed kind of football I've seen. There's a little bit of everything everywhere. You know, it's not, everyone's not playing route one. Everyone's not playing tiki-taka, possession, passing people to sleep. It's a really good mix. And Antonio Conte brings that, you know, Chelsea scoring a goal and him trying to like climb the bench and celebrate on the bench is one of the greatest moments I've ever had as a Chelsea supporter. You know, luckily at Chelsea with all the turnover of coaches, we've been able to see a ton of managers and coaches come in and out of the club. No, Antonio Conte, Diego Simeone, like they're, you know, for me, special in that regard. You know, Antonio Conte did something a little more tactically, you know, brought something back to popularity, you know. And then for me, there's some that maybe rub me the wrong way when they try to do things like that, like Mikel Arteta. You know, when is it maybe too much or placed incorrectly? You know, it's different for me. Yeah. You know, not that what Mikel Arteta is doing is wrong or whatever. Listen, to each their own. But with Antonio Conte, Diego Simeone, I mean, I can't think of any managers. Maybe Mourinho when he's doing a knee-side celebration in his suit. But, I mean, what are the managers that are like that? Jurgen Klopp, really high intensity.
Passion. Like
yeah,
heavy.
A lot of the, you know. Love Jurgen Klopp. Great manager, great character.
Yeah, we wish him well.
But he's got maybe a different kind of intensity about him, you know, in the way his teams play and how he is as a character, you know, where Diego Simeone and Antonio Conte, they're old school mob boss type, you know, like you respect them so much, you know they care about you so much, you're afraid to let them down. Where with Jurgen Klopp, it's more of a positive, hey, we're a big family, so we're going to work really hard type approach. You know what I mean? It's different sides to the same coin. Yeah. So, you know, they're fantastic. I mean, there's so many other managers, you know, we can talk about. You know, Pep Guardiola. as much as it pains me to say it because he seems to always find his way at a club that's going to make Chelsea's life miserable. Today, this is being recorded on a Tuesday after practice, right? Today we focused heavily on positional play. Everyone doing their job for the team. Something that part of the session, I kind of took from Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is all about positional play. For me, it's huge. And as a coach, I understand that, and we all understand, we all do it. We all kind of take a little bit from each other because I can verbalize a certain idea better than someone else. And we all kind of do that ourselves. He was able to verbalize kind of what I wanted to say in that part of a session. So I was able to take it like, great, this is what I was, looking to do.
Yeah.
That's why I was looking up Guardiola, because he's known for his positional play and how much he respects the demands each position has. And, players should focus on doing their job and what they're expected to be doing, because it shows they have trust and faith in the coach's tactics and the team's ability to perform and their teammates' ability to, carry out their responsibilities. So, there's a little bit of everyone. Then there's a little bit of that Carlo Ancelotti eyebrow, you scoring a game winner in the last 5 minutes of a match, and there's no celebration, but just a little smirk and a little head nod. It's every coach that I idolize and I look up to, all have their own little things. In each different moment in soccer, everything's fluid.
Yeah.
In the flip of a coin, you could be up 2-1, concede 2 goals in 2 minutes, and you've lost the game 3-2. Anything can happen in football. Yeah. So what I try to do is I try to, just react best I can and just plan ahead best I can. And if I know this game can go 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways, I try to make sure I'm ready for those possible outcomes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's another great way to kind of step into Besmir's mind a little bit, right? Understanding that those inspirations, because we can rattle off coaches, we can rattle off any type of tactic, but
all day long.
Yeah, I know. But one thing I did want to, now that we're on that, and specifically you were speaking, you kind of sprinkle a little bit of tactics, specifically tactics, and one of the things I really want to ask you now that we're on that is formation. Now, I can already say, I wrote down, kind of what is your favorite formation, but I can already say that you typically do play with the 3 at the back. More often than not, or actually just about any time, you can shift to a 4-3-3 and stuff like that. But I want to just speak on that for a couple minutes, really just the 3-5-2 that I typically see you play, or you just 3 at the back and you kind of shift around the midfield. But please, just give us a little bit of that magic, because I know if there's anyone that they can play with the 3 center backs and really execute it, it's great. All these things, even the way that you respect the goalkeeper position, the way that you do. I'm a goalkeeper myself, just by
by luck. No,
by I was gonna say by trade, or by, I don't know,
by birthright. Birthright, you're born into it.
That's me. But yeah, they get special treatment. But yeah, just talk a little bit about that formation specifically, a little bit of the tactics of that formation, and when you shift it or yeah.
So for me, without giving away all the secrets, all right?
Yeah.
A great magician doesn't give away, every secret in the book. But
of course, yeah.
For me, my preferred playing style or formation, or however you want to describe it, is finding players that just work well together. And now, a staple, before I figure out any other part of my team, I figure out my midfield. Because for me, seeing what kind of midfielders I have are pretty much are going to help me build out the rest of my team. If I have I love 3 center mids. I like having a well-balanced midfield, 2 sitting behind 1 for the most part, 2 6s or 2 8s next. If I have 2 8s, then I can, maybe have a 10, go a little higher and play as a second 9. It all just depends on the profile of the team. I love the 3 center back system, and I love it because it's so easy to adapt, right? Playing a 3-4-3, a 3-5-2 versus the 4-3-3 or 4-5-1 that I like to play. really just depends on what my players are looking like. You know, I play 3 center backs, but I don't have 2 really attack-minded wing backs. You know, the wing backs, one will be a natural winger, one will be a natural fullback. So we naturally always have that balance where this guy, you know, the right wing back might be a little more defensive. He's always going to sit a little bit deeper. My left wing back will naturally play almost like a wide forward higher up the pitch. You know, and then my midfield 3, if I know I have my more defensive fullback on the right, maybe I'll tell you know, my right center mid or if I'm playing with 1 6 behind 2 10s or an 8 and a 10. Hey, if we can make these runs into the channel on the right, we'll be able to use space that the right wing back's not going into. You know, so it all just depends on the player. You know, if I take off a defensive right, you know, if I take off a wing back, even if he's a more defensive wing back, and I put another really attack-minded wing back out there, do I drop in a second defensive midfielder to solidify the back line?
I like that.
You know, coach's voice, which we talk about all the time. Tactically, they're fantastic. You know, they sit down with the coaches and they discuss it. Steve Holland, I believe it is. If we find it, we'll try and link it below to the video. They talk about how these same ideas helped Chelsea, the English national team, Pep's Barcelona, and a lot of these big teams that won. Jurgen Klopp, they talk about, and how it was always the most important idea was to have a 5 and a 5, 2 5 units. Attacking with 5 was the big thing. Was how can we create scenarios where we have our 3 main attackers, one in the right channel, one in the center channel, one in the left channel, and how can we get additional players in the half space in between the channels? You know, so 5 attackers, maybe varying runs, you know, making runs out of their positions, coming across the field, dynamic movements all over the front 5, you know, and then how do we organize behind them? Now, I love the front 5 idea. All the greatest teams do it. They all just do it in slightly different ways. And then behind them, you know, Guardiola, at one point, was having his fullback step up and in, tucking in next to a 6, and he had 2 center backs sitting behind 3 makeshift center mids. You know, so he had a 2-3 and he had 5 across the front. You know, it's 2, 3, 5. Yeah, like Kyle Walker would tuck in.
The 6 and the 2 fullbacks would come together.
Yeah, exactly.
And like a midfield.
So they'd have like a 2-3. So they always had this, solid shape behind the front 5. Ball would win, 3 really defensively minded players to win the ball back and get it forward again. You know, but there's so many different ways to look at the picture. It all just depends on the team.
That's awesome.
You know, I love the 3 center backs because you can take a right back, throw him into one of the center back roles if it makes sense. I've taken defensive midfielders, you could throw them into the center back role. You know, center backs play in the center back role, obviously. You know, but you can take all different kinds of profiles of players, and playing with 3 center backs and then 3 center mids means I just get to balance out 2 separate groups of 3, you know? So playing with the 3-3, I know I'm going to have wing backs if that's going to be the case, and I'm going to get my 2 forwards, and then I can make sure I can bounce forwards. I know I'm speaking quite rapidly, and that's because of excitement.
Yeah, I was just kidding. I could definitely tell. I mean, shameless plug. I mean, there's definitely Chelsea's been brilliant at that, by the way. I mean, there's just a couple examples what you were saying about the flexibility of some of those wing backs and right backs, etc. Like Aspilicueta, Branislav Ivanovic makes a brilliant center back, even though he's naturally a right back, right?
Vice versa, depending who you ask.
I mean, it depends, yeah. But I'm just noting a couple of the many, and that's pretty awesome. And again, just by the way, you know, some of the competition in EDP maybe might be watching this or listen to this. Hey, watch out, get ready, because I know you're not gonna get the full picture, but you realize that it's coming in with the heat. You know, all the teams that are coming in the season. Just watch out, because this is the real deal, and this is something that we're very excited about. I'm very, very excited, Julius, to get that whiteboard and some of those tactics, right? The coach's voice, which again it is trademark. It's its own channel, which we'll probably link something so you guys can enjoy it as well.
Yeah, head over there. Those guys are brilliant.
But we're looking to do some of the content ourselves. But for sure, that's something that's great.
So, what in my opinion, my mind, the best way to go about developing a team and developing players is just creating a bunch of well-rounded players who understand the game, who get it. You know, where we've had games where we change formation 4 or 5 times. We're playing 3 at the back, then we're playing with 4, we're playing with wing backs. No, we're going to play with a front 3, we're playing a 3-4-3. Change things on the fly. But it's all about just creating players who understand that. So at that point, it just becomes my favorite part of anything tactical is watching players' natural actions and seeing what they do naturally and using those to the best of our ability to help the team win matches. If we have a player who, as much as we want them to do X, they always do Y. Frank Ribery, Arjen Robben, 99 out of 100 times we're cutting in and going to goal. We're cutting in and combining with the central players. Yeah, it's what they did naturally. So Bayern didn't turn around and say, hey, you can't be doing this. You have to go down the line and cross the ball. Hey, Arjen Robben's now playing left wing instead of right wing, so he can take the line and drive the ball across the 18. That's not what they did. His natural tendency was, I'm going to cut in and curl the ball far post. It made sense. And for me, from a young age, I was like, wow, if I just figure out how players act naturally, what they want, what natural tendencies are and habits, if I can take those and fortify those and then, make their weaknesses less weak and help fortify their weaknesses, they're going to be able to express themselves because they won't all be the same player. Each player has their own different strengths and natural tendencies. If I can help them strengthen all of those and then make them more well-rounded in the other aspects of their game, we're going to be deadly, because having a center back who's great in the air and great at stepping to the ball, it pairs perfectly in the middle of a back 3 when you have 2 really strong ball-playing center backs next to him or her.
Oh, okay.
So somebody who, hey, when we get the ball, we're gonna get you the ball, and your job is to get the ball out to the wide players as quick as possible, because, hey, we're playing with wing backs. We want to take our right center back, get them out into the wide channel with our wing back as quick as we can, because between those two and a center mid coming across the pitch, we are going to have a numbers up advantage most of the time. And then if we lose the ball in that situation, we have a very good player who's going to step in and win the ball and help us transition forward again. It all just depends. We play with the 07s we mentioned. Yep. We have a front 3 where we have almost like a wide playmaker on the right. We have a dribbler, wide playmaker. We have a forward that likes to drop in and win the ball. Right? So I'll give you an example. Say we have Dennis Claros, great making runs through. He's very, very fast. Good eye for goal. He's right-footed, likes to play on the left, so he can dribble forward, and he loves making runs that are straight, and then he likes to cut to goal right at the last second. So it's straight, and as soon as the ball gets played, boom, right to goal. So he likes the ball played in his path to goal, so he can cut and go straight to goal. Typically more towards the near post than a cut to the center of the goal. Henrique plays center forward. Okay. Henrique loves checking in for the ball. He loves checking to the ball, turning, and driving forward. He does that once or twice in a game. He starts pulling defenders. Now Dennis can run at the fullback and make that last second cut in behind center backs who are now trying to follow Henrique. And on the other side, we have someone who's completely different. We can have Jeffrey play out there, and Jeffrey loves to dribble. He loves taking guys on. He likes taking them up the line, finding space where he can be 1v1 and beat the guy on the dribble. So my goal is, hey, I'm not going to change these guys, say, hey, I want everybody crossing the ball in. We have 3 players who are great at what they like to do. So, hey, Henrique, check in, receive the ball. Once in a while, I want you to turn and try to get us forward. But sometimes I want Josh Sundar, who's our 6, hey, get the ball into Henrique. Henrique, we're going to bounce it off you into Willie, who's our 8 or 10, depending on the day. Mm-hmm. Willie, I want you to turn and see if we can find Dennis through in on goal or Jeffrey down the wing. How can I, as a coach, take what they do naturally so well and help adjust it to help our team function better and create chances? I'm not going to turn around to Henrique and say, hey, you're not allowed to turn and dribble anymore. That'd be foolish. That's what he's best at. I'm not going to tell Dennis, hey, Dennis, I want you to take the ball and beat guys 1v1. Hey, you like running past them? Let's get you to run past them. We'll teach you how to do this other stuff, but don't change what you're good at. Don't change something that's not broken. Don't fix something that's not broken. Yeah. It's now once in a while there's tendencies. Josh Sundar, he loves holding onto the ball, hold the players off, spray passes out, he loves to switch the play the ball out to the left back or left wing if we played to his feet. Let me go check the ball, let me get it again and go the other way. Sometimes his strength becomes a bit of a weakness because he holds on to it too long. So hey, we make him better at what he does by helping him move the ball quicker. And instead of always sitting as our six, can we make him dangerous sometimes? And hey, we're going to add runs deep from the midfield from you. So we want you to play this ball, and when you see an opening to get forward, let's get you forward, and we'll have our 8 drop in and cover you while you go forward. But the whole idea is finding the balance between players and having them use their strengths to help the team win matches. Our 08s have a player, he's a forward, right? I would never tell Michael Da Silva, hey, don't drop into the midfield and get the ball. He's a man amongst children in his age group. He's great at receiving the ball under pressure. He's strong. He can turn. He can drive from the midfield. Why would I stop him? Why would I stop him from doing that? Why would I stop David Beckham from crossing the ball in?
Yeah, I see.
Why would I tell Dani Alves to stop getting forward? It'd be crazy.
Yeah,
So that's, and those are players from all kinds of different teams. You don't tell Manuel Neuer stop playing as a sweeper keeper.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at it. Let him do that.
Yeah. That's actually, you bring up a really good point because that's something I wanted to touch on now that you're talking about different responsibilities on the field and speaking about, because we started out speaking about formation specifically, but now we're talking about responsibilities on the field. Can you talk a little bit about, because maybe there are times, I'm not maybe an authority on the coaching aspect, but I'm just curious, being that advocate on the other side of the coin, right? Saying, well, one, maybe there's an opportunity to switch things around, which is really the question comes from that term, total football, or is it complete football? Is it
total football?
Total
yeah,
football.
Yeah.
So when is that appropriate? Because I know that's a big thing too in terms of just philosophy overall. For you, can you speak on that total football? When is it appropriate? Right? Because we're talking about guys who are very, very good. Like Enrique, I remember there's a game that I watched and Enrique, for example, was playing. He started the game as a 10, even though he likes to play up top. Like he told me, I've never really played as a 10 before. But I'm just saying that total football, I guess, would be every person needs to know different positions. If you need to be flexible, right? Switch it around. I mean, Bayer Leverkusen, by the way, is a very good example of that this season. Fantastic, just kind of the way that they rotate. But you just speak on it a little more just because we're really curious about that.
Yeah, so total football, crazy ideology behind it. Now, if you take it to the real extreme.
Yeah.
In episode 1, the first part we did here, I spoke about there having to be a good balance of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same idea with this. Positional play means structure and everyone knowing their responsibilities. But at the club, we talk about wanting to build well-rounded players. So now you have well-rounded players who understand the game, understand what their responsibilities are and what they have to do when they're in their positions, but also understanding that the game of football is fluid and ever-changing. Every second changes. And sometimes we have to do things that aren't what we typically do to help us win a match. So that might be Josh Sundar plays this as the 6 on our 2017 team, gets the ball, turns, plays the ball out to Jeffrey, our right winger, and Josh sees space in behind, and he hits on the overlap. It's not something you would typically see, but if it works, and it solves a problem, then it works. You don't ever not do something because you're afraid, it won't look right. It doesn't matter how it looks or if it's necessarily the textbook thing. All that gets thrown out the window because winning fixes everything. If you do what you're supposed to do and it helps your team, in that moment, you've won that moment. You do it. We rarely train the underlap where fullbacks will come inside the field. We always work on overlaps. Now, if let's think of a right back.
On that team?
Yeah, a Bimonte.
Yeah,
Bimonte does it all the time.
Bimonte's great. Yeah.
Bimonte is our right back there. He is one of the leading goal scorers on the team as our right back. It's crazy to think, but we never stop him. We also don't coach it. This is something he naturally does really well. We wouldn't stop him, and we don't stop him, and I'd never stop him from combining with midfield, with center mids, and driving through the middle of the field. Because just in 2 tournaments in the late fall, he grabbed like 2 or 3 goals. Combine forward, beat a guy, get through. He's quick. He's good on the ball. He's got great technique on from distance. He dribbled past 4 guys. That 1 goal he scored, it was fantastic. Unless you're watching this, Bimonte. In that case, it was horrendous. Okay, no, it was wonderful. You scored, and once again, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, great job.
You can only get upset with your players if you don't trust them. Right? Players who have their coach's trust will come up with solutions to problems that maybe sometimes the coaches didn't realize were solutions. Some of the goals that we have players score aren't because we tell them this is what you need to do to score, but by giving them a proper environment where they are able to produce results like that, that's coaching 101. Put them in a place that allows them to find solutions and create moments of brilliance. Pep Guardiola says his job is to get them into the attacking third, and then it's their job to score, the player's job to score. Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest minds in history of this, in the history of the sport. If he says stuff like that, what stops us from following his footsteps? Why do we have to turn around and change the way the very best are doing it? Give them the freedom to move positions, to do things in the moment, because just like I am always changing what I'm doing in a match to coach, in the fluid nature of the game, why aren't players allowed that? Right? Yeah. Total football is great. It's also crazy to think center backs can now be playing right wing. It's crazy. That's why it didn't survive too long.
Yeah.
It was a shock. It was like getting hit by lightning. But at the same time, the idea of the randomness, right? It's almost like when you're defending a corner, or you're attacking a corner, and then suddenly you're now defending the counterattack off the corner. You don't care if your forward's playing left back in that moment. Who cares? If he gets the job done.
If they're in the spot.
If you win that moment, that battle, in the 90-minute war, does it matter? No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Didier Drogba played left back for the majority of the 2012 Champions League final against Bayern Munich.
Really?
Oh man, it was horrendous. But Chelsea hoped for the best, playing against Bayern in the Allianz Arena. Didier Drogba was playing left back for the majority of the match. Actually, he fouls. It might be Arjen Robben. I know Arjen Robben takes a penalty, but Didier Drogba gives away a penalty in the run of play in extra time of the Champions League final. The center forward on the team gives away a penalty in the run of play. That's how deep he was defending. It wasn't a problem when Chelsea lifted the trophy, though. Roberto Di Matteo didn't go say, hey, go stand up there. Doesn't matter when you're lifting the trophy.
It's whatever it takes.
You do whatever it takes. Your responsibility, first and foremost, is to help your team win. Everyone has their positional responsibilities, but sometimes you have to allow the freedom to adjust to the fluidity and the flexibility the game requires of us.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. I really wanted to ask you that question just because we're already in that vein of tactics, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, total football is it's an idea. Perhaps It's not as practical nowadays. It's not as practical in the modern game, but it's definitely important to touch on it just because again, there's a lot of young coaches, aspiring coaches, and just a whole lot of our players that are going to be listening to this as well. And as we wind down, Besmir, I just really want to go back to that philosophy a little bit more, like So I guess you can call it like player management philosophy, right? Because there's a lot of times there's crucial moments where you had to talk to players, you had to take them aside, and we really want to just hear that from you as we wind down in terms of that mindset. For example, there's two sides of the coin. There's maybe one player who has a rich vein, they're in a rich vein of form, they're doing really well, and we want to hear like what kind of conversation would you have with them just so their heads don't get too big, right? Because I know there's a lot of times where maybe the players, they kind of lose the plot a little bit because they might think it's like, oh, wow, it's just me. And then the team is, team is great, but it's just me. We don't really have that in NJFC, but I'm just curious to know that. And then on the other side would be a player who perhaps really, really struggling mentally, struggling physically to play at their highest level. What kind of words would you have for a player like that to get them back up? Just right. So you see what I'm saying? So if you can add to that, that'd be great. Speak on that.
I'm being a pain, I know, but it all depends. At my last coaching course, it was wonderful when one of the instructors turned around and said, "Hey guys, if people ask you questions about you and how you're doing your job, and you're typically responding with 'it depends,' it means you're doing things the right way." And that means, like, from the beginning of this conversation, a coach that cares gets to know his team and how they're going to react, gets to know each player, their natural tendencies, and how to get the most out of every situation, every team, every moment, every player, and every different aspect. The way I can react to a player who is the best player on the pitch depends on the player. Some players go over there and just, hey, it's a simple pat on the back, good job, just keep it up. Some players, it's the stroking of the ego. Oh, I knew you're a difference maker. Oh, you're fantastic. Oh, some players need a reality check. Hey, the other team's not that good. Don't be too proud of yourself.
I've heard you say that before. Yes.
Or they score 2 goals at the end of a match, and we just won 2-1, and they're all proud they scored 2 goals. And it's, for some of them, the ones that are a little more arrogant. Hey, but you could have scored a hat trick, and walk away. Those that are upset, it's letting them remember that it's not the end of the world. It's one match. By the end of the day, we're still going to be upset about it, but then we have to focus on the next match, the next day. The sun will come up tomorrow. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really easy. Really easy when the players are at their high, because they now know what it feels like. So to them, it's easy. Hey, you see what this feels like? You keep working hard because it gets even better than this. It can get better than this. You love this moment. You can work harder than you've been working, and you can go even higher. They say the sky's the limit because, hey, you're all the way up here. You just put a 9 out of 10 performance in. You can go 10 out of 10.
Wow.
You can go 9 out of 10 against better opposition. 9 out of 10 in a better league. You can go 9 out of 10 playing with an older age group. There's so much more you can do. You've now seen, you've felt some success, but you can get even more of it. My biggest focus is always on the players who aren't up there.
Right.
Those who have maybe hit rock bottom, and it really starts to help you see how good of a coach you are.
Yeah.
Or player manager, to really help them get out of the funk. Get out of the rut they're in, whether it's motivational. Some of them need a kick in the butt. Some of them need a hug. Some of them need someone to talk to. The current idea or the push behind helping with mental health in youth athletes, youth sports, and just in today's youth has been fantastic. It is making our world a better place. Kids need, not all of them, but most of them need, sometimes they just need someone to talk to. They're impacted by so many things going on in the world. I don't care what anyone says. Technology is a blessing and a curse. It has made the world easier but more difficult to live in at the same time. As a coach, a lot of the way we'll ever handle players has to come in mind that there's so many outside factors that dictate how the player's feeling, how they're acting and reacting to things. And it's just being mindful. Like I said, a good coach can cut and paste. Hey, good job, bud. See you practice tomorrow. What are you really doing there? You're passing the responsibility of being a coach to somebody else. Our job is to focus on our players as people first, because if you can help them figure out who they are off the field, on the field, they'll discover themselves.
Being intentional.
100%. Everything we do has to be with the idea that the player comes first. Honestly, before everything else, I don't care what level of the game you're at.
Right.
Player comes. Everything we do has to be for the well-being of the player. Because I said it on the first episode. You can take positives out of losing every game in a season. Players can. I played on a team my senior year of high school that was god awful. We were a bunch of misfits, and we were lucky we showed up with 11 on match day.
Oh wow!
But I can name memories. They were some of the greatest memories I've ever had as a player. You know, it wasn't a professional team, an academy, whatever. We didn't even have real jerseys. We had T-shirts printed with our town name on the front and numbers on the back. We just wanted to play together one last year before everyone graduated out.
Yeah.
You know? But a lot of the guys on our team were just a bunch of guys who didn't even really play soccer. I was the captain. I was the big guy. I was looking to go play in college, all this stuff. So most of the games, I played like half the season with you know, like a double sprained ankle. It was crazy, but we left that season, and mind you, I led the team in goals and assists at a center mid.
I was just gonna say you scored
I was
a
a
lot of
defensive
goals.
midfielder. No, I didn't score a lot of goals that season. I had 3 goals and 2 assists. I think we only scored 6 goals that season.
Oh wow!
It was very, very bad, John.
Oh boy!
But I smile when I talk about it, and not just because it's funny, because some of the memories, some of the moments we had made me a better person. You know, my character developed being on that team. You can develop in every situation. Once again, the lotus on the club logo, right?
Yeah.
Even in the murkiest of waters, the lotus thrives and it blossoms. You know, that idea of character development and helping every lotus blossom it has to be at the forefront of what an NJFC coach, you know, believes and what they thrive on is player first in every aspect.
Wow. That's golden. I'm glad we're closing off on that because it comes full circle. Again, it's all about the intentionality, and at the end of the day, North Jersey FC, any team for that matter, it's people. It's people. So that's one of the greatest things that I'm seeing.
Yeah, let me put it out there. I don't want to sit here and say we are the greatest club in the world. There's nobody like us. There's nobody better than us. If you're one of our players or you play at a different club in our area, other side of the world, the best advice I can ever give a parent or player, guardian, whatever it might be, who's ever looking for a club, is to find a club where you feel like you belong. We try to make every player feel like they belong, and that's what I believe makes us special. But if there's any kind of advice I could ever give a parent, guardian, player, is find a club where you belong, where you get excited to be there on match day. You get excited to show up to training, where even on your darkest day, you are happy in the slightest just because you get to go there. You get to be there with those people because you know on your darkest day you have that support system that isn't in your home, but is in your second home on the pitch. That's what makes a club special. That's what I think makes us special. And there's many clubs out there that are special. But for everyone, special, that definition is slightly different. So find that special club for you, the club where you feel like you belong and that makes you feel like you need to be there.
I love that. So I guess that we can really close it there, because it's just a powerful message. We're looking forward to many more episodes just like this.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for joining us for episode 2 of On the Spot. Thank you for watching North Jersey FC YouTube channel and following us on socials. Besmir, thank you so much.
No problem. Hey, stay tuned for upcoming information on tryouts. Love to see everyone there, and let us show you why we are who we are and we do what we do. Always a pleasure, John. Exciting news, right? Coach Ty on the next episode.
Absolutely, Coach Ty. We're gonna have Coach Ty.
It's enough of me, I promise. It's for now. For now.
For now, we're gonna have a lot more from Besmir, of course. But it's an honor, really. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everyone. All the best.
We'll see you soon.
Yep.